Welcome to the Working Class Women Movement.
Using our voices to make sure they don't fall on deaf ears.
Reclaiming the activism of working class women.
Increasing chances of gender equality and pay equality.
This podcast advocates for women's voices and equal rights in a working class environment.
Focusing on economic issues and claiming women's space in leadership.
Wathinta abafazi, wathinta imbokodo.
This is the Working Class Women Movement. What is diversity and inclusion in context of being a Black woman in the corporate world? We hear the phrase diversity and inclusion in companies, but what does it mean? It had to take the fatal death of George Floyd for open conversations to start in corporate spaces. And we're here today. And we wonder if this will bring change, honest and open conversations going forward. As Black women in the working world, we curl up and blend with the background because we avoid being misunderstood to be too aggressive or too loud and being too expressive in our body language. So we put on our best white accents, giggles, and go on with our life because diversity and inclusion does not exist in the corporate spaces. We have no Black women to look up to in companies. We do not easily climb up the ladder unless we are unmarried, have no kids, and have a tough exterior. You can't have it all. Be successful, married, and have children. That's not how it works. I want us to sit down and think of a time when we felt like there was no more growth and that you are boxed in a position, and no matter how much you show them your work ethic or your intelligence, it's like you cannot go beyond where you are currently. So take a minute and just think. So while you're thinking, I will tell you a story, my story. I remember a while back when an associate said to me, Anita, know your place and why you were hired. Those words, I remember them so well that even in times of wanting to shine, I chose to sit back and know my place. Diversity is a fact and inclusion is an act. I remember a time when I was bullied by white colleagues because my bust was too big and my top shaped them and made them pop, and I was reported to human resources. Dear white people, our bodies have minds of their own. Our genes tend to give us big busts, big behinds, and sadly, no matter what we try to put on, it will never change the situation. Clothes will shape every curve. It's not that we buy small clothes. No, we try, but guess what? It just never works out. This is yet another issue in workplaces, always the Black woman and her overly exaggerated body. I remember a time when a comment was passed on, oh, we love your hair more than the other hairstyles. Dear white people, we do whatever we want to our hair. If we take out our natural hair, it's not for you to touch. If we wear our wigs or our weaves, we bought them. So technically, it is our hair. Do not comment, do not touch. You do not see us touching your hair, do you? This again is the issue that has to stop. It's these subliminal acts that can truly get under our skin. What does it mean to be Black in a workplace? Leave your culture outside before you enter the workplace. Leave your skin before you start your day. Let people have racial slurs and jokes and just smile because you are the better Black person. What does it mean to be Black in a meeting room? There are more disagreements with your ideas, with no one wanting to back you up. What does it mean to be a Black woman trying to make it through the day against the white system? Again, I ask, what is diversity and inclusion? What does it mean for us as people of color, especially women? How do we want to be treated? What will it take for us to earn as equal as our white colleagues? When do we raise our hands asking for promotions? Or do we just sit and wait till we're told we are worthy? I have so many questions. I know a lot of you do too. But who is going to answer those questions? I've worked all my life. I will tell you this. I'm still looking for a black woman to look up to who has it all and doesn't fit the stereotype of a woman scorned. I remember the week after the killing of George Floyd, silence took over a lot of corporate companies. No one wanted to start the conversations on how their employees truly felt. No one wanted to address the fatal issue that had graced the world by storm. Black people in their groups couldn't breathe because, as much as the injustice is everywhere, no one was brave enough to address the elephant in the room. The injustices in workplaces, the racial slurs, the body languages we face every day, uncomfortably so. No one wants to be classified as a racist. Instead, they have the idea of, if I do not speak, then that means I'm not a bad person. But guess what, white people? Silence weighs more than voicing out. I have never come across white people who ask to be taught on how to and how not to. I would rather assist a person that asks than ignorance. We all know by now this saying, we do not see color, we see people. For me, that's the worst phrase, justifying how not racist they are. I don't know what diversity and inclusion means to you all, but let me tell you what I hope it could be. Having more women of color in boardrooms, having more women of color in leadership positions, having equal pay, having our ideas taken into practice, having not to put on our best accents just to fit in. Why can't we just be us and be accepted as we are? Our aggressiveness and loudness to be understood as passion. To wear our hair without it being an early morning discussion or a show and tell. Black women to be good enough and to be visible. Diversity and inclusion must mean 100% equality without prejudice. Diversity is having a seat at the table. Inclusion is having a voice. And belonging is having that voice to be heard. So again, I ask, what is diversity and inclusion to you? I urge you all to leave comments on the Unspoken Truth podcast page on Instagram or email me. Let's dive into this conversation. I want to hear your stories and all that you have faced trying to grow in the workplace environment, the white system. Follow me on Instagram and subscribe on Spotify and Apple Podcast. For the Divine and Amatongo merchandise, find our shop on Shopify, Nita's Holistic Living and Lifestyle. I am Nita Terry T, your host of Unspoken Truth. Until the next episode, remember, everything in life comes with divine order, divine timing, and divine presence. Dear you, you're going to be just fine. I thank you.
The Unspoken Truth is the catalyst for important and thought-provoking conversations that need to be had. The network tackles social ills, spiritual healing, soul-searching, and mental health awareness. To subscribe, click on the show link to follow our podcast and be part of the Unspoken Truth family. Find us on all social media platforms.